The first time I suspected, the city was holding its breath. It was late autumn in Chicago, the kind of evening where the wind coming off Lake Michigan feels like it is trying to tell you a secret. I was standing on the balcony of our Gold Coast apartment, watching the city lights bleed into the inky blackness of the water. Sarah was late again. She'd been late a lot recently. Work dinners, she'd say, her voice a little too bright over the phone. Client meetings. Sarah was a rising star in the art world, a curator whose name was whispered in the most exclusive galleries. I was proud of her, immensely so. I was a simple architect, a man who built things with steel and glass, while she curated beauty and emotion. We were supposed to be a team. But lately I felt like a spectator in my own life. That night, she came home just after midnight. The scent of rain and a cologne that wasn't mine clung to her silk blouse. She kissed my cheek, a quick, cool press of her lips. "Long night," she murmured, slipping out of her heels. I watched her walk towards the bedroom, her silhouette framed by the city lights. And I knew. It wasn't a thought, not a suspicion, but a cold, hard certainty that settled deep in my bones. I didn't confront her. Rage is a clumsy tool, loud and messy. I preferred the quiet precision of a blueprint. For the next few weeks, I became a ghost in my own home. I observed. I listened. I gathered data. Her phone, left carelessly on the nightstand, became my primary source. Texts filled with inside jokes I didn't understand. Plans for lunches at hotels I knew didn't have restaurants. The other man was a name I recognized, Julian Croft, a wealthy benefactor of the museum where she worked. A man with a reputation as tarnished as his old money name was polished. The pain was a physical thing, a constant pressure behind my ribs. But I learned to live with it, to use it. It sharpened my focus. My love for Sarah had been a grand, sprawling structure. Now, I saw the rot in its foundation. And an architect knows that when the foundation is compromised, you don't patch it, you demolish it, carefully, piece by piece. My plan began to take shape, not on paper, but in the quiet, late-night hours when the city slept and my mind raced. Sarah's greatest pride was her career, her reputation. It was a flawless facade she had built over years of tireless networking and ambition. That would be the first wall to come down. I started subtly. Using a burner phone and a carefully crafted fake identity, I began feeding anonymous tips to a notoriously hungry art blogger. Nothing direct, just whispers, questions about the provenance of a recently acquired sculpture at Sarah's museum. Murmurs about the unusually high price paid for a minor work from a new artist Julian Croft just happened to be championing. I planted seeds of doubt, watering them with just enough detail to make them grow. Meanwhile, I played the part of the devoted, slightly oblivious husband. I brought her coffee in the morning. I listened to her complain about the ridiculous rumors starting to circulate. I'd rub her shoulders and tell her, "Don't worry, love. Your talent speaks for itself." Every touch was a lie. Every word a carefully placed stone in the path to her ruin. The financial aspect was next. We had a joint investment portfolio, a testament to our shared future. I spent a month meticulously and legally maneuvering assets. I leveraged our holdings against volatile stocks I knew, through insider information from a client of mine, were about to plummet. I shifted my personal funds into secure, untraceable accounts. On paper, it looked like a series of risky but plausible investment decisions. The kind a loving husband might make, trying to grow their nest egg. The crescendo was timed for the museum's annual gala, the crown jewel of the Chicago social season. It was Sarah's night to shine. The culmination of a year's work, an exhibit she had poured her soul into. She wore a stunning crimson gown, a triumphant slash of color in the sea of black tie. She was radiant, gliding through the crowd, accepting compliments, her laughter echoing in the grand hall. Julian was there, of course, keeping a respectable distance, but his eyes followed her everywhere. As the main auction began, my preparations converged. The art blogger, fed a final, damning piece of evidence by my anonymous persona, published their expose. It detailed a scheme of inflated art valuations and kickbacks. Implicating the museum, Julian, and the brilliant curator at the center of it all, my wife. Simultaneously, an email landed in the inbox of every major donor and board member present, myself included. It was a detailed, anonymous report from a concerned employee, complete with copies of incriminating financial records and Selected excerpts from Sarah and Julian's text messages. Intimate, undeniable proof of their affair, woven into the narrative of their professional corruption. I watched it happen in slow motion. A phone buzzed on a table. A board member frowned at his screen. A whispered conversation started in a corner. The unease spread like a contagion. I saw the moment Sarah noticed. Her smile faltered. She looked around, her eyes wide with confusion, then panic. She saw Julian, pale and grim, staring at his own phone. Then her eyes found mine across the crowded room. I didn't smile. I didn't scowl. I simply held her gaze, my expression a perfect calm blank, and in that moment she knew. She saw the architect of her destruction. The applause for the auction winner died down, replaced by a tense, heavy silence. People were looking at her not with admiration, but with pity and contempt. Her perfect world, the one she had built on my trust, had crumbled into dust around her feet. The aftermath was swift and brutal. An internal investigation, a public scandal. Julian Croft, shielded by his lawyers and family name, survived, albeit with a tarnished reputation. But Sarah lost everything. Her job, her friends, who scattered like cockroaches in the light. Her name, now synonymous with scandal. When our divorce was finalized, the stock market crash I had engineered had wiped out our joint accounts. She walked away with her clothes and a fraction of what she thought she was worth. I was, on paper, a fellow victim of her recklessness. Months later, I saw her once. It was a cold winter day. I was walking through Lincoln Park, the bare trees stark against the gray sky. She was sitting on a bench, huddled in a thin coat, staring out at the frozen lagoon. She looked smaller, diminished. The fire in her was gone, replaced by a hollow emptiness. She didn't see me. I was just another shadow in the winter gloom. I walked on, not looking back. There was no triumph, no satisfaction, just a profound, echoing quiet. I had designed her ruin with perfect structural integrity. I had demolished her life, beam by beam, until nothing was left but a vacant lot. And now, I stood alone in the silence, the architect of an empire of one, with the cold Chicago wind as my only company.